What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It is Horror Fan 34, and welcome to another video, and welcome to day 12 of the 31 Days of Horror Challenge in October. Now that we are on day 12, I figured we shift back to the 80s this time, because we talked about with Dawn of the Dead in the 70s. Now let's go to an underrated gem from the 80s, from 1988, I believe. Yeah, 88. And I always thought this film was a lot of fun, and especially even the sequel is even more fun. But, I mean, if you want a really good, underrated, like, 80s horror gem with a good sense of humor to it, I mean, this is a great flick, and that review is going to be on Waxwork. Yes, Waxwork, the first Waxwork, right there. 1988 film directed by Anthony Hickox, who I enjoy as a director. Full Eclipse with Mario Van Peebles is a great underrated werewolf movie. Hellraiser 3 is a solid sequel. I know he directed a couple things with Dolph Lundgren before. I think on Jill the Ripper and Stormcatcher, I believe, with Dolph Lundgren. And I think he also directed Submerged with Steven Seagal. But Waxwork. One more, this is such an underrated 80s gem that has so many great references. And if you don't know what the story of the film is, that you have a group of teenagers headed by Zach Galligan and his girlfriend, played by Deborah Foreman. And they go to this wax museum headed by David Warner. May he rest in peace, David Warner, who just recently passed away this year, I think. Yeah, this year. May he rest in peace, David Warner, great character actor. And basically, they go to this wax museum, and basically there's these displays of different horror characters, and every single display of the horror character, you go through this little cool looking portal looking thing, and you get thrown into a scene where these people get killed by these characters pretty much. And there's Dracula, there's the Wolfman, there's the Mummy, and things like that. And basically that's what it is. This wax museum headed by David Warner is killing people by luring them into these displays and making them go through this portal and, getting killed by these monsters pretty much. And that's pretty much the idea of Waxwork. Now, what makes the film work, first off, the cast does a great job. You have Zach Galligan as the lead. Yes, this is after Gremlins and before Gremlins 2. Always really liked Zach Galligan as an actor, whether it be Point Doom. Really enjoyed him in that, which is a biker movie. Does a great job, of course, in Gremlins 1 and 2. He does a great job in both of these as well. Always liked Zach Galligan. He was also pretty good in Hatchet 3 as well. You have Deborah Foreman, who was in the original April Fool's Day. I think she does a great job as Zach Galligan's girlfriend. And like I said, David Warner does a great job as sort of our villain of the film, who's the head of this wax museum. Like I said, David Warner, and my dog is not trying to knock my door down, pushing up against the door. If you heard that thump, but like I was saying, David Warner, great job as sort of the villain of the film. Always really liked David Warner. May he rest in peace. And I love all the references and to all the different horror movies that are out there. And what I just think is such a cool original idea, having because you've seen a lot of films dealing with a wax museum, but this is one of those ones where it's a very unique sort of story where these displays, every single display you go through this cool looking portal looking thing, and you go through it. And you end up being thrusted into a scene from a particular movie, pretty much, of that character. And I really like the effects as well. I'm trying to remember who did the effects. Doesn't say, but whoever did the effects of the portal opening up, it's a cool looking blue sort of looking portal. Very well done stuff. My dog is outside my door. Please forgive me for that if I keep looking. But and it is very gory as well, so it doesn't hold back on the gore. I really wish I would have known, and who says on here who did the effects, because it doesn't say, but whoever did the gore effects they did an outstanding job. Especially the part with the mummy, the character of the mummy, probably the most goriest thing I've ever seen dealing with a mummy in a movie. Because like you've seen like the mummy sort of stuff, like the original Boris Karloff, or even the Brendan Fraser adventure movie, or things of that nature. But you never really see anything that's really gory with a mummy. And this film, without a doubt, the goriest bit is with the mummy, and it's very, very, very well done. Really like the scene too with the Dracula character and the Wolfman. It's sort of like, this wax museum is sort of like this Hall of Fame, sort of like, kind of, if you think of baseball in a way, Hall of Fame sort of like display of all these legendary horror characters, and these teenagers are getting lured here, being killed off one by these characters. And I mean, I don't want to spoil it too much. I really don't want to spoil that mummy part, because that's extremely graphic, and I don't want to spoil it too much. But if you like 80s horror films, and it also has a really good sense of humor too, that also helps a lot. It's a good blend of horror, also mixed in with some comedy in there. Like I said, Zach Galligan, great job as the lead. Deborah Foreman, you have Miles O'Keefe, Michelle Johnson, David Warner. The effects. Bob Keane, who did the effects for the original Alien and Hellraiser, the first one, does a great job here on the effects. Bob. I always forget Bob Keane, who did the effects. Always been a big fan of his as a special makeup effects guy. He's like up there with people like Stan Winston, Tom Savini, things of that sort. But Waxwork. I don't want to spoil it too much, but Waxwork is definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it yet. So that's pretty much it for my review for Waxwork. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.